Kia ora, Year 12 and 13. Here are some straightforward discriminant problems based on delta 29.1. So remember that when we have a quadratic equation, we write it in this form: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. We sometimes abbreviate that with the capital Greek letter delta. And we've got three situations. If delta is negative, we've got no real solutions. If it's equal to 0, we've got 1. And if it's greater than 0, we've got 2. Okay, and you can see that, if you draw a little graph, that's no real solutions. That's one real solution. In other words, there is one value of x where the quadratic expression will equal 0. And the last one is where I've got two real solutions, so that's where my discriminant is greater than 0. So all we have to do for these three questions is work out the discriminant and decide on which of the three cases it is. So in this first one, we've got a equals 1, b equals 4, and c equals 7. So b squared minus 4ac is equal to, now let me just try and erase some of that stuff over there. Yep, that's better. Get some room. Right, so hopefully while I was doing that you worked it out. So b squared minus 4ac is equal to 16 minus 4 times 1 times 7, which is minus 28. So it's negative 12, which is less than 0. Therefore, it has no real solutions. Okay, the next one needs rewriting before we do anything with it. So we'll take everything over to the left-hand side. So, no, we'll take everything to the right-hand side, actually, and flip. Okay, so x squared minus 8x minus 19 equals 0. Now, what I just said about taking everything to the right-hand side and flipping was appalling mathematical language. So just make sure that you know what I'm doing here, is that I'm subtracting 8x plus 17 from both sides of the equation. I'm keeping it in balance, and it ends up all over here. I'm doing it that way because I always want to have a positive coefficient on my x squared term, otherwise my brain hurts too much. Okay, so x squared minus 8x minus 19 equals 0. What's b squared minus 4ac going to be? Well, it'll be 64 minus 4 times 1 times negative 19, so it's going to be 4 times 19, which is 76. So 64 plus 76, which is 140, which is greater than 0. So it's going to have two real solutions. And the last one is exactly the same equation, right? So we don't need to do anything. Same thing, b squared minus 4ac is equal to 140, which is greater than 0, therefore two real solutions. So those two questions are exactly the same question on purpose, just to make sure you know what to do when you get one that's not in the right format. Okay, and just remember that later on in the topic, this one here that had no real solutions, we know that that's actually got two complex solutions. Okay, if you're watching this and you're doing level 2, you won't know that part of it yet, right? But it's going to have two complex solutions, and they come in pairs, so we can use completing the square or the quadratic formula to find those two complex roots, but we're not going to do that today. Right, next one, slightly different. This equation has one solution, find k. So we know that b squared minus 4ac must equal 0, since one solution. Right, so we have k squared minus 4 times 1 times 36 is equal to 0. Right, let's take a look. We've got k squared is equal to 144. Right, so what's the answer? What's the value of k? I've got to be really careful here. I've got a squared expression, so there are two solutions for k. K could equal 12, or k could equal negative 12. Right? Either of those two values of k will square to give me 144. Now, if you're not liking that, go back and check. If we have x squared plus 12, x plus 36, that gives me x plus 6 all squared. And that will equal 0 at x equals negative 6. Similarly, x squared minus 12x plus 36 is equal to 0. So that gives me x minus 6 squared is equal to 0. Now, if you're looking at this and thinking, gosh, that was very tedious doing the discriminant for that, there's an easier way to do the ones where you've got one solution. And one solution means that we can rewrite the left-hand side as a perfect square. So we could go straight to going, what is going to give me that perfect square form? And there are two ways. It could be x, look at the plus 36, think of the square root of that. So it could be x plus 6, or x minus 6 squared equals 0. And then when we expand, we'll get x squared plus 12x. So it's exactly what we've done, just going in a different order. Okay, so either of those is fine. I guess what I'm saying is you don't have to use the discriminant method if you don't want to. Just like when you're solving a quadratic, you don't have to use the quadratic formula for the harder ones. Sometimes it's easier to do completing the square. Right, so lots of different methods that will work. Right, next one. Kx squared plus 8x plus 12 equals 0 has two real solutions. So we are looking for b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0 for two real solutions. So this one we really do have to do using the discriminant method. What have we got? Well, we've got 64 minus 48k greater than 0. So 64 is greater than 48k, and dividing through both sides by 16, we get 4 is greater than 3k, or k is less than 4/3. Okay, so that's my answer there. Alright, last one. For what values of m has this equation got no real solutions? So this is taken from, this is the very last question in Delta 29.1. I hope the Delta authors don't mind too much. Right, so we're looking for b squared minus 4ac being strictly negative for no real solutions. A equals 2, b equals negative m, and c equals 10. Remember, the sign always goes with the digit after it. Right, so we've got m squared minus 4 times 2 times 10 must be negative. So m squared is less than 80. Alright, now don't immediately jump to this, which is what I think a lot of you are probably going to do, which is to go, oh, I'm going to square root both sides, and I get this. M is less than the square root of 80. Okay, and we'll do that properly now. We'll take out the 16 that's lurking in there. So m is less than 4 root 5. Okay, now that's not right, because if I put in m is equal to negative 30, m squared is equal to 900, which is definitely not less than 80. So let's take a better look at how to do these ones. Right, I've got m squared is less than 80. So I've got to think about when m is negative and when m is positive. So I'm going to erase that bad stuff I wrote over there. Right, so that's not good at all. Right, so if m is positive, then we've got m is between 0 and the square root of 80, and if m is negative, we've got m between negative root 80 and 0. So that gives me my overall answer. That is that m is in between the square root of 80 and negative square root of 80. Or, more elegantly, negative 4 root 5 is less than m is less than 4 root 5. Just make sure you are really comfortable with how to write in between with all your inequality signs. Okay, by this point you should be. Right, that's all for now. That was far too long. Can you please let me know if the sound quality in this one was okay, because I've changed the iPad settings slightly. So if you could let me know that in class, that would be great. Thank you.